Good afternoon all, my name is Josh Wilbert and welcome to my analysis, discussion, and presentation of the case study Internet Use Violations, Threats Over the World Wide Web. To introduce this topic, according to author Nathan L. Essex, the author of our textbook for this class, the First Amendment to the Constitution guarantees the right to the freedom of speech to U.S. citizens. This freedom, however, does not include a license to exercise such rights in a manner that creates material or substantial disruption to the educational process. In addition, our text further states that students as citizens are afforded the right to due process as stated by the 14th Amendment, and it is the responsibility of the school's administration to protect and promote the welfare and safety of students and staff. Moreover, an administrator must promote the success of all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. And it is through the combination of these constitutional amendments and the ISLLC standards that the resolution of this case study can be reached. Category 1, problem identification and analysis. What do I know? Well, the facts of the case are as follows. Roosevelt High School is located in an affluent area of a large city. The parents of this community are professionals that provide their students with the latest in fashion and technology. Dr. Stephen Forbes is the award-winning principal of Roosevelt High, where he has served for 9 years. He is established and respected by the parents in this community, and he's focused on maintaining a reputation as a principal of the most prestigious high school in the state. Furthermore, Dr. Forbes focuses on recommending only the most highly qualified teachers, and in practicing this, he has appointed Miss Cindy Walker as a science teacher. She is a non-traditional beginning teacher who holds an advanced degree and begins her teaching career a little older than most beginning teachers. Miss Walker runs a structured classroom focused on academics. Because of Miss Walker's serious approach to instruction, her students are reporting experiencing high levels of stress, and Dr. Forbes have received many phone calls from concerned parents regarding the academic performance of their students in Mrs. Walker's classroom. Dr. Forbes has counseled Ms. Walker, discussing techniques that she can implement to reduce student stress and increase positive interactions with her students. She has yet to successfully implement these techniques. Specifically, the incident in question occurred in the second year of Ms. Walker's teaching tenure at Roosevelt High. She received an unidentified suspicious email. The email directed her to a website to retrieve a personal message. The personal message was highly suggestive, and it was critical about her her class, how she runs her class, and her personal behaviors. It used vulgar curse words. The message concluded with, "Who wants Miss Walker to disappear?" Miss Walker telephoned Dr. Forbes to report the incident and report her concern for her general safety. Dr. Forbes read the email and viewed the website and its content. Dr. Forbes concluded that the email and the site were nothing more than a prank. However, he did instruct Miss Walker to think of any student who is unhappy with her and try to remember any disgruntled or disruptive students. Void of any real tangible evidence, Miss Walker identified Randy Franks as a student who fit this criteria, and based on this and other speculative evidence, Dr. Forbes intends to print hard copies of the email and the website, and further intends to speak with Randy and some of his friends who may know if he developed this website. And finally, Dr. Forbes is going to enlist the district technologist to see if he can trace this email back to Randy Franks or any other student. What do I need to know? How can I resolve this case? What more information must I have to pass judgment? Well, I must observe Miss Walker's classes to determine the validity of parent complaints about the class workload and poor instruction. I must conference with Miss Walker's direct supervisor, that would be her department chairperson, to obtain data from any formal and informal observations and evaluations. I must ensure that a district-developed notification has been provided to parents, guardians, and students to inform them of family privacy rights, specifically the rights outlined in the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Finally, I must consult district policy to determine if I, in fact, have the authority to enlist the support of the district technologist to help determine where the email originated. Problem identification. The problem in this case involves multiple layers. First, the safety and security of a staff member has been compromised through the statement, "Who wants Miss Walker to disappear?" There's an implied meaning in this question, and the implication is that the person asking the question desires Miss Walker to disappear. This is a valid threat, and it should be treated as such. Another question, or another part of the problem, is where did this originate? Where did this threat originate? Roosevelt High School is an affluent high school where families make the newest technology available to their students, and it's difficult to say if Randy Franks is the student responsible for this or if any student could be responsible for this. The procedural due process rights of any student cannot be violated when investigating this incident, and so Randy Franks' procedural due rights may be in jeopardy as Dr. Forbes speaks with he and his friends to see if they can identify if Randy developed the website. Because there is a clear lack of tangible evidence, Dr. Forbes and Ms. Walker are acting in an arbitrary and capricious manner, which violates Randy's right to procedural due process. Another additional problem in this case has to do with the approach to classroom instruction of Ms. Walker. It's been controversial since her first appointment, and multiple students are in danger of receiving their first low grade in school. And while grades are not everything, these are aspiring valedictorians and salutatorians, and if multiple students who have very high GPAs are struggling, then we have to look at those instructional practices. Ms. Walker needs to reflect upon her practice to identify the roadblocks to the transfer of knowledge, and as an inexperienced new teacher, she must put forth maximum effort to implement Dr. Forbes' suggested techniques to reduce stress and increase positive interactions with students. Category 2, the proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation. I propose the following plan of action to resolve the issue of this case. I will ensure that all of the parents of Roosevelt High School receive documentation regarding their students' right to privacy. In accordance with district, state, and federal law and policy, I will examine the educational records of all of Mrs. Walker's students to identify any past recorded incidents of malicious behavior. In accordance with district, state, and federal policy and law, I will enlist the assistance of the district technologist to see if we can track this email back to a specific student. And based on my findings, I will notify the parents of any students required for questioning and invite all parties to attend a conference that is convenient for everyone. Based on the results of my investigation and my conference's discipline will be handed down. This discipline will, of course, be in accordance with district, state, and federal policy and law. I will educate all students and staff on the appropriate use of technology and the internet inside and outside of school, and I will develop a written school policy that defines appropriate and inappropriate use of technology and the internet and the consequences of violating said policy. I will re-examine, reflect upon, and modify as needed the school's formal and informal observation and evaluation policy. I will re-examine, reflect upon, and modify as needed the school's mentoring program for new and inexperienced teachers. And then finally, I will provide professional learning opportunities to all faculty members to assist in the improvement of instruction through the implementation of best practices and positive interactions. The strategies I will implement for my proposed plan of actions are: at the beginning of each school year, I will provide all parents, guardians, and students with documentation regarding their rights to privacy and due process. I will enlist the assistance of district legal counsel to ensure that the due process rights of all students are followed during the investigation of the incident outlined in this case. During teacher report weekend services, I will provide learning and training opportunities to staff regarding appropriate use of technology and the internet, both inside and outside of school. Moreover, I will develop a written policy that must be signed by staff upon the completion of learning and training opportunities provided. During enrollment, I will provide a written policy to parents, guardians, and students regarding the appropriate and inappropriate use of technology and the internet inside and outside of school. I will require that the policy is signed, and this will be housed in the permanent records of the student. Furthermore, during the first week of school, I will hold grade level expectation assemblies where a presentation or multiple presentations will be given to inform the student body about, among many topics, their responsibility to use technology and the internet appropriately without posting malicious and defamatory content. During Teacher Report Week and services, I'll reintroduce faculty to the school's informal and formal observation and evaluation and mentoring procedures. Furthermore, through professional learning time and available in-service time, I will provide faculty with learning and training opportunities to assist in the implementation of best practices and positive interactions to sustain growth and development of instruction. And then finally, all policies, procedures, and learning and training opportunities will be revisited periodically throughout the school year in an effort to, again, sustain professional growth. Category 3, resolving the issues based on promoting the success of all students. My resolution to the problem presented in this case study promotes the success of all students through my adherence to students' rights to privacy and due process, through my establishment of a shared vision for the proper use of technology and the internet, and through my providing faculty with professional learning and training opportunities to improve instructional practices that will reduce the cause for complaints about class workload and ineffective or poor instruction. Category 4, thinking, feeling, valuing, and unresolved issues. Through the process of coming to a resolution for this incident, I could not help thinking about the vast amount of procedural and legal knowledge required to come to an equitable, fair, and ethical decision. I couldn't help thinking about the anonymity of technology and the internet and the security this provides when making degrading, defamatory, and malicious comments, and thinking about the need to support new and inexperienced teachers as they develop their craft throughout the early years of their careers. As I responded to this incident, I felt overwhelmed by the legal and procedural requirements, shocked by the abuse of an informative and educational technology such as the internet, and I felt responsible for the lack of professionalism exhibited by the teacher in question. Throughout this process, I valued accountability, I valued the acquisition of knowledge, and I valued professional growth and development. There are a few unresolved issues. 3 unresolved issues that I identified are what are the First Amendment rights and protections of students in terms of creating content on the internet? What is the definition of a threat of harm? What constitutes a threat? Who determines this? And is there a legal precedent that has established an answer to these questions? And does Roosevelt High School value marks or grades above critical problem solving in the learning process? Moreover, does Dr. Forbes value the appearance of rigor over actual rigor itself? Category 5, the reflection on ISLLC Standard 5. As the building level administrator, it is evident that I demonstrate a sense of integrity and ethical behavior while addressing the issues revealed in the Internet Use Violations case study. My integrity and ethical behavior are highlighted through my adherence to school, district, state, and federal law and policy, and my desire to aid in the learning and growth of all stakeholders. As the building level administrator, I acted with fairness while addressing the issues revealed in the Internet Use Violations case study. My fairness can best be seen in my establishment of a system of accountability for students, parents, and faculty, and the continual opportunities for learning and growth that I provide to both student and faculty. As the building level administrator, I demonstrate a personal and professional code of ethics while addressing the issues revealed in the Internet Use Violations case study. This too can best be seen through the multiple and continual opportunities to learn and grow throughout the school year made available to both faculty and students, and my support of staff in these initiatives. And also the promoting of accountability for one's actions through the policies developed or that are going to be developed in my plan of action. In conclusion, my resolution to the case study, Internet Use Violations, reflects my adherence to being an administrator who promotes the success of all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. In reaching my conclusion and rendering a plan of action supported by effective strategies for implementation, I incorporated my knowledge of multiple constitutional amendments and multiple ISLLC standards. Without the knowledge and analysis of the aforementioned amendments and standards, and an integritous, fair, and ethical decision cannot be rendered in the case study, Internet Use Violations. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation, view the presentation that I created. I hope this is helpful in some way. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.